Welcome to Soul Strings, where we explore the music that moves us and the stories that shape us. Today, I'm excited to welcome Carlos Bedoya, the guitar player for Grand Allusion. That's Grand Allusion, the St. Louis-based Styx tribute band known for capturing the heart, harmony, and theatrical power of one of rock's most iconic catalogs. From soaring vocals to timeless anthems, they don't just play Styx, they bring the music to life. I would like to welcome Carlos Bedoya to the show. Carlos, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Hey, brother, you know what? Styx was one of my favorite bands growing up. And, you know, the Crystal Ball album was one of my favorites.
Yes.
And some of the songs that don't get played anymore, you know, like Jennifer and Put Me On your brand new record album. I was like,
you know, that's true. Shoes and this old man. But guess what? If you live in the St. Louis area and you know where Edwardsville is in the Wildey Theater, you just might hear the entire Crystal Ball album played in its entirety to celebrate the 50th anniversary at the Wildey Theater this year.
Oh, so you're giving me a little plug there. That's
yeah.
About yet. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, you know what? What inspired you to start a band called Grand Allusion, and what inspired you to pay tribute to specifically Styx?
Well, the story behind that would start with a guy named Tim Loki. He was the original
know Tim very well.
Yeah, original singer in the band, and he put the whole project together. It was a friend of his. He sang a couple songs at a karaoke bar, and she was like, "Hey, you should put a Styx tribute together." And so he threw something out on Facebook, and different people applied to that and replied. And so he put together a great group of guys. And I came on, that was in 2013 when that happened. I came on in 2015. And since then, Tim decided to do some other stuff. And so we have a guy named Scott Marlin who came in, and he does all the Dynasty Young vocals now. And yeah, the reason the band chose Styx was really just because of that. And then, you know, thinking about it, they have such a large catalog of music and so many songs that people know that they don't even know. There's so many people that come to the shows and say, "Oh, I know a couple songs. I know Come Sail Away and maybe Lorelei or Light Up or something like that." But then they'll come up to us after the show and say, "Wow, I actually knew every song you played. I had no idea some of those songs were Styx." So, you know, it's really a great band to do a tribute to, because you can play over 2 hours of music like we do, and people know it. Whereas a lot of bands, you're lucky to get 45 minutes of hits. Maybe an hour, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What an iconic band they are. You know, what is it about their music that resonates with you personally and as a band?
With me, it's just, I love harmonies. I love guitar harmonies, vocal harmonies. They have all of that. I love synthesized music, organ music. They have that too. I love prog rock. They have some of that. I like theatrical rock like Queen. They have some of that. I like rocking stuff like Ted Nugent, Midnight Ride off of Equinox. You know, that sounded just like JY kind of said, "Hey, this Sammy Hagar guy and this Ted Nugent guy are doing some cool stuff. I want to cop some of that," you know? And so, you know, for me, it's just a wide variety of music. My first, well, not even album, but my first, well, I'll just call it album by them, was the Cornerstone album that I had on 8-track. And I played the heck out of that tape. There's some really good songs on there, and I'm really excited for when we get to that album, because we will be doing every subsequent year. We'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of each album. So it'll be Grand Allusion after Crystal Ball, and we'll keep going until Kilroy was here, and we probably won't do that album, but everything up until.
You know, I remember seeing Styx on the Paradise Theater tour at the Checker Dome. And yes, I said the Checker Dome. It was still up.
Right.
And back then, I mean, technology today, sound-wise, lighting, everything, the production is just incredible that we have today that we can use for our concerts. Yeah. But back then, they put on an amazing show, and I'll never forget the sound quality. It actually sounded like somebody put in a CD, hit play, and that's what Styx sounded like. The sound was, wow. And in the Checker Dome, as for that too. I mean, it was amazing. The sound was just incredible, and I really enjoyed the show. I'll never forget the opening part where he's coming out with the boom, you know.
Yeah.
Sweeping the stage, you know, that's a lot of Dynasty Young. Dynasty Young was so theatrical anyway, and that's why a lot of that happened.
Yep.
How did the name Grand Allusion come about?
Well, you know, it was kind of weird.
I know it's the album, play on the album.
Yeah, it's a play on the album. That's essentially what it was. You know, everybody in the band loves the Grand Allusion album. I mean, we play every song on that album except for the grand finale and Superstars, which we do occasionally, but not regularly. It's kind of probably the deepest cut, I would say, probably on that album. But yeah, choosing that album was just, all of us love that album. Every song on there is fantastic. It's the album that kind of really put them on the map. So it's, you know, as far as they go, it's probably what many would consider their greatest album from the standpoint of gaining popularity and kind of finally making it onto the scene. And you know, then Eugene, the other guitar player, I believe is a guy who came up with, hey, let's do a play on the name and call it Grand Allusion, since we're alluding to sound like Styx, and we love the Grand Allusion album, which everybody knows, you know, so it made sense.
How many members are in the band?
Total of 6. Keith Wagner on keyboards. If you haven't heard Keith play or heard his sounds, you got to check it out, because he has everything dialed in. He can do things that Dynasty Young and even Styx now don't do when they play. All the different sounds are there. Everything's there. It's just like the album. Scott Marlin does the voice of Dynasty Young. We have Dennis Stringfield, who does the voice of Tommy Shaw and plays drums and percussion. And then we have Dave Rader on bass. And then Eugene Holdreed, he does the acoustic guitars, mandolin, and electric guitar. And he and I kind of switch back and forth on things. I handle most of the Tommy Shaw electric guitar solos and electric guitar parts while he's doing the acoustic in that. And then I do some of the JY, but he does mainly the JY vocals. He's the voice of James Young, and also does most of the signature solos when he can.
You know, I can't wait to hear you guys. I'm definitely going to come out and see this show. How do you, statistically and technically, what is the biggest challenge in recording and recreating these iconic songs like Come Sail Away, Mr. Roboto?
Well, I would say the biggest challenge in that is well, the vocals. And fortunately, we have 4 of us in the band that sing lead in projects that we play in. So basically, I have 4 lead singers in the band. Our keyboard player also does some backups, and he's got the vocoder, so he's able to dial that stuff in and get anything that needs the vocoder in that respect. And then the keyboard parts really is the biggest challenge, and that's where Keith's got it covered. He grew up, his dad was, I believe, part owner in a recording studio when he was a younger kid. And so he got to go in the studio and play around with all these Oberheim synths and Hammond B3s and all this stuff while he was learning, being classically trained as a pianist. And so he knows how the stuff sounds. He's also got a degree in computer science, so he knows how to take the technology and dig in and get it to do what he knows in his head it should. And then if you look at him, he's got a command center and all these different pedals. And when we were doing playing on a show the other day, and normally I'm not so close to him to be able to see what's going on. I had no idea on too much time on my hands how many times he's like hitting his pedal forward to get the keyboard to do one sound and hitting it backward and it does another, and he's doing this and that with his feet, and it's just like, holy cow. So not only is he playing wonderfully and 2 different keyboards, but his feet are doing things at the same time too, and he also has pedal bass that he plays while he's doing some stuff too. So it's amazing to actually just watch him play, let alone all the cool sounds that he's making while he's doing that.
I remember when synthesized music came out, I was like, that is so cool. I've got to get one, a keyboard that does that. And
right.
I'm not like a keyboard player. I just kind of play a little bit, but I remember getting a mini Moog and a synthesizer. It was the coolest thing. You had to move all the oscillators and all the different things, all the different, sliders to make it sound a certain way. Now it's just, you just push a button and everything's like computer programmed in there for you. But yeah, it was so cool. I remember getting that. Is there particular songs or moments in your shows that connect specifically or strongly with the audience, and which ones are they, and why do you think that is?
One of the ones I guess I would say would be the song Light Up. People love that song. It's one of their big hits off Equinox. And, that's one of those songs where people like to get their lighters out and light them up and sing along with the band while we're playing that song. So that's one of the tunes that we enjoy playing that gets people involved. The other one would be Come Sail Away. I mean, it's a sing along with that song. Everybody's out there singing along. Mr. Roboto is another one too. Whether you like the song or not, it it's a song that it's a great song. It really is. And a lot of people, have become more in tune to it the more they hear it. I've had a lot of people say, I've never really cared for that song, but I enjoy watching you guys play it, and listening to it while you guys are playing it. So it's nice to hear things like that too.
I was just going to ask you that next. Have fans ever shared stories with you about how your shows impacted them emotionally by bringing back this music? Because I'm sure some of the they're probably, the audience is closer to my age or
Mine too.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's some stories or something that's kind of reflected in their life or brought back a moment in time, high school days and stuff. Has any of those fans shared any stories with you?
Oh yeah. We have people come up, when even the first gig I played with the band was in 2015 at the Wild A Theater. And we had a group of people come up to us that said, hey, we're Styx nuts. We have this fan group that we all hang out in, and we go watch Styx play all over the country. And we've seen them play all the time. And they came up and they said, wow, you guys sound more like the album live than Styx does. And, one of the guys was like, yeah, man, it's like, I felt like I was sitting in my parents' basement on the beanbag chair, hanging out with my buddies, listening to the Grand Allusion album, And so, that's really cool to hear, because we try and cop the solos, the harmonies, everything as close to the album as we possibly can. Some of the endings are things that we've come up with, but other ones were some that we've taken from Styx Live, and where we can kind of get songs to flow together, we will. But yeah, as far as the stories, we've had numerous people just tell us that, we took them back to days, playing Frisbee at the park, hanging out, listening to 8-tracks, on the cars, blaring, listening to Styx music. So stories like that are really cool to hear, and bring back memories for me too, because I used to do that stuff as well. Very true.
Hey, I played in bands myself, and what is it like for you? When you have different audiences in different size venues, how do you approach bringing energy and connection to the audience with those different size venues?
Yeah, that's a good question, because some of the theaters are very intimate, and you feel like you're part of the audience while you're playing. And then there's other venues you play where it's everybody. Where is everybody? Because it's actually so bright on stage that it's hard to see anybody out in the audience at that time. So it really, you just kind of get into the music and the interaction between all of us when we play. Like I said, we all love the music. It's a great group of guys. We all get along. There's, no egos or anything. It's whatever it takes to make the music sound the best it can sound. Hey, if you sing this better than me, sing it. If you know the solo already and you can pull it off, do it. What's going to make things sound the best?
Carlos, what are some of your favorite songs to play out of the Styx library?
Let's see. Well, one of my favorite songs is Lights. That's on Cornerstone. That's fun to play. I love playing that song. It's got a really cool middle section. They actually had sax on that song.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite songs to play. I also love playing Lorelei. We have a cool outro that Eugene and I put together with some harmony solos going back and forth on the outro of that song. And I just always love the way the keyboard, sequences, that's so cool, the way they have that counter thing happening as it goes in. And that's really hard to pull off. And Keith does a fantastic job on that too. So that's one of my favorite songs to play. And then another song that we do that gives me goosebumps, and it's so cool to just hear that happening while we do it, is Man in the Wilderness, which is off the Grand Allusion album. And Dennis Stringfield, our drummer who does the Tommy Shaw stuff, oh my God, he nails that tune. And that's one of the songs where I, was embarrassed to say that I always thought it was a Kansas song. I didn't even know it was a Styx song for the longest time. And until I started playing it in the band, because I had, one of those things where I had kind of forgot about it. And what I had heard happened, I guess, was when they were on tour during Crystal Ball, when Tommy Shaw first joined the band, they were touring with Kansas, and he was in awe of those guys. And so that song is a result of him listening to Kansas and touring with Kansas, and that's why it's got such a Kansas-esque type of vibe, if you will.
Wow, I never knew that. That's a great story. I never heard that one.
But yeah, that's a great tune, and people, you can tell the people that know that album because they hear that song are like, wow. Castle Walls, that's another tune that we do that's really fun to play.
They've got so many great songs. That's one of my favorites too. I'm one of those guys that like a lot of the songs that really never got all the airplay.
Me too.
On the radio. I don't know why, but I just love a lot of the beat cuts.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's so many of them. That's why I say, people come up and they forget about those songs, but then when they hear them again, they're like, oh yeah, I remember that when I listened to the whole album, like people used to do. And they went, oh yeah, I liked that song. And I wondered why it never was on the radio.
Is there any song that from Styx that you perform that you have an emotional tie to?
Let's see.
Not playing wise, just an emotional tie.
Yeah, right.
Bring something back to you.
Right.
Is it whether your childhood or relationship or anything like that?
I would have to say Come Sail Away. It just the way it talks about, hanging with friends or thinking about your friends and dreams that you had together and things that you used to do back in the day. That's also a song that I sang at my father-in-law when I was first married. My first wife's father at his funeral. She asked me to sing that song there. So that was very cool. We did that with a few friends of mine. We played and sang that song there. So that has an emotional tie to me as well. But yeah, really, Come Sail Away. Just it's got such good energy and it's their most iconic and most known song that they have. And so yeah, that one has more of an emotional tie to me for that reason. I'm a guitar player mainly, and I do sing lead in some of the bands. So I'm not a lyrics guy, if you will. So a lot of the stuff I don't know, and so I listen to the guitar mainly. So there's probably a little bit less emotion that it's tied in with the guitar riffs than there is with the vocal lines and that. But sometimes the guitar and the music and that it impacts the vocal lines as well. So
you know what? I understand that being a guitar player versus a singer, because it's like being a singer. There was always things that I like to do in bands, and we never do them because it was the guitar player wanted to play this part. But the emotional tie too for lead guitar and playing guitar, gosh, you know what? There's some great guitar parts that are so emotional. Steve Lukather, for one, some of his guitar parts, man, I just get like, I can just feel the emotion. It's like some of those will just feel like it's tearing your heart out, the way he plays it. It's like, wow, it's like, it really touches me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's fantastic. I would say probably my favorite solo to play would be the Crystal Ball solo. It just sings and it just speaks, and it has such a great melody, and you can feel the emotions in his playing on that. I mean, that was the first song that he brought to Styx. Tommy Shaw was Crystal Ball, and he was taken aback that they decided to name the album after a song that he brought, being the new guy.
Yeah. No kidding. That's incredible. Well, let's talk a little bit about this upcoming show that you have. Tell us where it's at. It's at the bottom of the screen for those of you that want to look at the bottom and it's some information. But tell us, what can we expect at this show? How long is the show, and what can we expect to hear and see? Okay,
you can expect to hear about 2 hours and 20 minutes of nothing but Styx. And you'll hear everything from the beginning up until Kilroy was here. So we cover everything from 72 or 3, which is not technically the beginning. We had the other stuff during the Nickelwood era, but everything from Lady, which was their first initial big hit, which I think was on Styx 2, and I believe that was 72 when that came out, if I'm not mistaken. So we cover all that. We're going to take a break at this show. We will have a pause in between, so we'll go about an hour and 10 minutes and take maybe a 10-15 minute break, and then come back out and do another hour and 10 minutes. And it's, just expect a high energy show. We love to have fun and jump around on stage whenever we can. So it's nice playing on the bigger stages where you can pretend you're a rock star and have fun. And so yeah, it's February 7th at Delmar Hall. Starts at 8 p.m. There's no opening act. It will just be us. So as I say, just all Styx music that evening. And it's our first time there, so we're really excited about that. So it's definitely going to be a high energy show. We're going to be trying to have fun and make a good impression on everybody. So it'd be great to have everybody there to celebrate the music of Styx with us.
I've never been to a show at Delmar Hall yet. and this will be probably my first along with you.
Okay.
So have you been there before without playing?
Yes, I have. I've been there a couple times. I went to go watch Dave Grelly and his Christmas show one year, and then my our former bass player in Grand Allusion, Jason Cunningham, he played in an Iron Maiden tribute called Killer Instinct, which those guys were fantastic, and they played there. And so that was my first time that I actually went to Delmar Hall. Now, we will have an all-seated event, so they do have different setups there. So ours is all seated, so there's 354 seats total. So if they don't have seating, I think they can fit up to 700 people. But so yeah, the setup we do have is going to be a seated setup, and so it's a great venue. It really is. It's the sound system there is fantastic. Our buddy Dan Reuter, who is one of the guys that he fills in for the normal house guys at the pageant and Delmar Hall. So he's going to be coming in and mixing for us, and so it's going to be fun to have somebody mixing who's knows the band and knows the system. So it should sound fantastic and should be great.
I can't wait. You know what? I'm glad you said that, because that was going to be my next question. What can people expect who've never been to Delmar Hall before? What can they expect? And you kind of alluded to that as far as the seating. So yeah. I appreciate that, man. Well, you know what? Is there anything that I've left out that you'd like to share with me before we conclude this?
Well, one other thing we do during the show as well that people enjoy is we have videos that we play along with the songs. So we'll have some videos that kind of go, and some of them include even some excerpts from like the intro to Rockin' the Paradise. We actually have the footage that they had with the guy, pushing the broom and all that kind of before we come on. And we also, before we do Snowblind, we have a little thing with JY talking about, that song supposedly had satanic messages in it if you played it backwards. And so he has a little funny little thing he does about that, And so we do have some video that happens with it. The other thing I'll say is that we're constantly, trying to bring in new songs when we can. And like I said, we'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the albums coming up with Ball in November at the Wildey Theater. And after that, Grand Allusion. After that, Cornerstone, Pieces of Eight, and then Cornerstone, yada, yada. And then check out the band website, beststyxtribute.com. You can get tickets for this show there, and you can also find out what other shows we'll be playing throughout the rest of the year. So we do play somewhere 6 to 10 times a year, just kind of depends. Last year we ended up doing 3 shows towards the end of the year at the Wildey, and so it just depends on how things go. But yeah, check out the website, check out the band, come out to a show, come up and say hi. We love talking to people, love talking about Styx. So and in fact, one of my professors from when I was studying electrical engineering was at one of the Wildey shows, and he had his Man of Miracles shirt on, which is. Yeah, I think it was the album before Equinox even, and it was in killer shape, and he could still wear it, and so it was super cool. I told him, I said, man, I forgot to get a picture of you with that. And so he sent me an email later with a picture of him from that night when he, had it on when he got there. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, just, come up to the band, say hi. Don't be shy, and let's talk Styx.
Carlos, I just appreciate your excitement about the band. I love that, brother. I love everything that you guys are doing with this band. It's 2 hours, and it has to be 2 hours, because you wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't do it justice leaving some songs out,
when we play venues where we have to limit it to 90 minutes, it's like, what do we cut out? Because there's a solid 90 minutes of nothing but hits, really. And even, there again, it's like, okay, well, these deep cuts are almost hits too, but they're not really deep cuts, because they're on the Grand Allusion album. So everybody knows them backwards and forwards. So yeah, that's the toughest thing, is trying to decide how to cut it down when we have to.
Well, I'm going to have to make both shows, because Crystal Ball is one of my favorite albums as well. So I'm going to have to make both shows. Well, brother,
we're excited about that.
What?
So we're excited about doing it, because there's we're listening to it again. We're like, oh wow, I forgot about that, and that, man, this is great. And we're like, we better get on this soon. And actually, Eugene and I, the other guitar player, have already started working on tunes, trying to get ready for that, because it's not easy to do that when everybody, for the most part, has day jobs too. So you got to fit in the time to do that. Plus our other cover bands that we play in.
So is that Crystal Ball? Is the Crystal Ball show? Is that going to be 2 hours as well, with other things from other cuts from other albums?
Yeah. So whenever we do those shows, what we'll do is we'll play the album in entirety, and then we'll do Nothing But Hits by Styx after that. So it ends up being about 90 minutes, and that's where we have to kind of choose. The cool part is some of the songs that we play are, included in the album, because we probably have in our regular list songs from every single album. So that does help. But so you'll get about, I think that album, if I remember right, 37 minutes long. So then you'll get another 90 plus minutes of nothing but Styx stuff. So
if you don't want to miss make sure you go see Grand Allusion. They're going to be at the Delmar Hall, February 7th at 8 p.m. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. And then don't forget, November 8th, they're going to be playing the Crystal Ball album in its entirety from the beginning. So you want to make sure you get to that show on time so you don't miss any of especially the first song, because I know what it is, but I'm not going to do the spoiler alert on that one. I'll just leave it as it is. Carlos, thank you so much for joining me today, brother. I appreciate you. And thanks, I appreciate all that you guys are doing to bring the music back that we grew up with and that we have cherished memories of. And we just appreciate you. Thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Hey, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Love talking Styx. Take care.
All right, brother. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Grand Illusion. Come on in, see what's happening. Pay the price, your tickets for the show. See the world through your cynical life. You can trouble your man, I can tell.
Can't escape this emptiness.
Arigato, Mr. Roboto, mi pensu, o shi